Hi, and welcome to Jen Savage Fitness. Today we are going to focus on our upper body. We're going to be targeting our chest. We are going to be targeting our back. We are going to be targeting all the things that help us lift and move and go. All right, so we have 5 moves on the menu today. We have a chest press. We have a bent over row. We have a shoulder press, some push-ups. We know we're going to sneak those in, and also a back fly. So make sure that you have some weights that you are comfortable working with, that you can lift safely and effectively. Also, if you have a bench, go ahead and grab that. We're going to use that today, but if you do not, that is okay too. I will show you all the moves from the floor as well so that you can feel comfortable. And also, you will need something to sit on, okay? So if you don't have a bench, just grab a chair, something that is sturdy and stable, because those shoulder presses we will be doing from a seated position. So let's go ahead and get warmed up. Let's just do some shoulder rolls back. Start getting that blood flow into that upper body. We're going to feel amazing today. Roll those shoulders forward. All right. And a lot of times, I mentioned the push-ups. Those push-ups are so essential for us. Let's give ourselves a couple little hugs. Just really opening up that back, squeezing in the front, being so proud of yourself for showing up, right? Because too often we wait until the end of the workout. I say we celebrate right now. The fact that you showed up is phenomenal. Now we're going to do a couple shoulder circles. So what I want you to think about with the shoulder circles, okay? And I'm going to turn to the back. I want you to think about that scapular mobility. So really working those shoulder blades around. So it's not just moving in our arms, it's really working those shoulder blades, those scaps in the back. Scapular mobility is so important. Now let's reverse it. Not only that, this feels so good. I can't promise that for the whole workout, but right now we will enjoy what we've got, right? Now I'm going to have you hinge. So think about just driving those glutes back, all right? Getting in that flat back position. So you should have a straight line from the back of your head to your sacrum. And we're going to extend our arms out and then bring them down, really activating that back, squeezing that back, utilizing those lats and using those all the muscles here as we're going. We don't want to just go through the motions, okay? We want to think about using that mind muscle activation as we're in this. And let's do one more, and there we go. And now we're gonna turn our thumbs out to the side. So we're going to stay in this bent over hinge position, and we're going to turn our thumbs out to the side. So it's like we are hitchhiking, although you don't really hear much about that nowadays, do you? Probably for valid reason, right? So we just want to drive those thumbs up. Make sure you're not shrugging through those shoulders, really just squeezing like you had a pencil in that mid back, okay? Give me 2 more. 1 and 2. All right, so should be feeling nice and spicy. What we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our weights, and I'll meet you back here for the chest press, okay? So if you have a bench, grab that. If not, you can use the floor, but let's dive in. All right, for the chest press, I'm going to show you how to do it onto the bench. But if you are on the floor, it's the same mechanics. You are just a little bit more solid and stable on the floor. So don't worry if you don't have a bench. Sometimes the bench just works to get that deeper range of motion. So what we're going to do is lie back onto that bench. Now, I like to have my feet on the bench just because otherwise it creates a little arch in that back. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll move my arms up. So when I put my feet up, it just helps me to get into that more stable position, okay? I want you to think about rotating those shoulder blades down and back so that those are flat against that bench. And then you want to have those weights so when they press up, you're coming straight up, and then lowering down, you're coming down to about a 45-degree angle. Okay, we're not straight out here. We want to rotate those elbows down as we press. And for this one, we have 10 reps. So let's get started. Here we go. We got 1. And I want you to think about your breathing too. As you're going through it, 3, you want to breathe out as you go up. 4, so 5, inhale as you come down. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so now you can pivot, sit up. Think about how that went. We are going to do straight sets of these. So we're going to go through all 10 reps 3 times through. And then we're going to move to the next one. Okay. So this is going to really be a burner, really kind of push you to fatigue, but make sure that if you need to, you can adjust your weights accordingly as you go throughout. So if you started off and you're like, ooh, that was a little, a little interesting by the last couple reps, then you might want to lower those weights as you build that form. As you're building that form, you're also building that strength. So don't hesitate to grab something a little bit lighter that you know you're controlling safely and effectively. Okay. All right. It is time for round number 2. All right. Get those shoulder blades adjusted on that bench. We got those weights above us and we are going to lower down. Remember, take a deep breath in. And then lower down, and then breathe out as we press up. And 2, you want to think about getting that depth. Also 3, because that range of motion is so important. If we're just stopping short, there's 5, then we're losing so much of the move, right? And we want to make sure that we are working through that full range of motion in the move. 8, I hope that's 8, 9, hopefully you're keeping your own count, and 10. It is sometimes a little challenging to count and do the reps, but with that, start to feel it. I want you to feel that in your chest as you're pressing up. Start to create that mind-muscle connection that is going to help you continue to build, right? Sometimes, I'll have clients that are like, I can't feel it. And I'm like, okay, well, what I want you to do is start visualizing this specific muscle here, right? I want you to really train your brain to feel that muscle, because a lot of times we are working the muscles. We're just not maybe working them optimally because we're not also thinking about that muscle and what we're doing. This is going to be a nice little pec move. It is that chest press. We are working our chest. And just like that, we're going to dive in for our last round, our last 10 reps. So make sure that core is braced, that you're flat against that bench. And here we go. All right, take that deep breath in and lower down for 1, 2, 3. How's this last round feeling for you? 4. It's probably feeling a little challenging. That's exactly where it should be feeling. 6, 7, and especially on these last couple reps, 8, that's where you really want to feel like, oh man, can I finish the 10 rounds or 10 reps? And then you finish them and you're like, yes, I can. Because just like that, we are finished with our first move. Now we're going to move into the bent over row. So you want to we're going to be working our back. Our backs are usually pretty strong. So grab some weights, once again, that you can control safely and effectively in that hinged position. And I'll meet you right back here. It is time for that bent over row. Now we are going to be in a hinged position. So let's talk about that. You want to have your feet about hip to shoulder width apart, okay? What you're going to do is think about the string just pulling you over into that flat back. I want your gaze to be about 3 to 5 feet in front of you, because what that's going to do, it's going to keep that head and neck in alignment, right? You want to think about a straight line from the back of your head to the tip of your tailbone, okay? And we are going to be in that hinged position. So our knees are going to have a little bit of a bend to them, but our shins are going to stay vertical. Those are not going to move. The movement is just in that hinged position, and then we're going to grab those weights into a row. So hopefully you have chosen those weights. Now this move is going to be 12 reps, okay? So get ready because this is a little bit longer, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna be in that hinge position, and we want to think about pulling those weights to our hips, okay? So just moving those, driving those elbows back as we come up. So let's dive in, all right? Make sure you've got that solid stance. We've got 12 reps. Here we go. And 1, 2, give a nice little squeeze at the top. 2, 3, feel those lats and that back really firing up. There's 5, 6, halfway there. How is it feeling? 7, 8, 9. I know sometimes being in that hinged position, if you're not used to it, it can be its own challenge, right? And there is 12. So we're going to set those down. Whew. We are going to stand up. We are going to shake it out. And think about, okay, so when we're going, you want to feel those lats activating. As you're pulling up, think about keeping those elbows close to your body as you're lowering down and driving up. And then as you're in that topmost position, really squeezing that mid back, okay? So just like that, I gotta take another deep breath. Into the nose, out through the mouth. We have 2 more rounds of those bent over rows. So let's grab our weight and let's get into it. All right, so remember, we've got those feet about hip to shoulder width apart. We're going to hinge at those hips and drive to the pockets, all right? Keep those elbows close. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really, once again, using that mind muscle activation, right? We want to think about all those muscles that we are working. There's 7, 8, 9, 10, and using slow and controlled movements. 11, no jerking at the top, and 12. All right, if you notice yourself having to jerk at the top, you might want to go a little bit lighter. Sometimes if we choose a weight that's a little too heavy, we try and compromise, right? And we don't want to compromise our abilities. We want to make sure that we're showing up, doing our best, and focusing on that progress every single time. So shake it out. Maybe give a little arm shake. That's my Michael Phelps move, right? I used to see him doing this as he was getting ready to dive into the pool. And I was like, oh, it was such a good one because it really kind of drives that blood back into the arms. I mean, it's pulsing through it, but it just helps you get ready for that last round of the row, okay? So let's pick up those weights again and decide too. You think about the weight selection. Maybe you can go up, maybe you need to drop set. Either way, it's all perfect. It's all your journey and you get to decide, all right? So we've got that nice flat back. We're looking about 3 to 5 feet in front of us and we're gonna pull for the last 12 reps. Now really think about that mind muscle connection. Really think about pulling up. There's 4, slow and controlled. 5, no jerking at the top. 6, but giving that nice little squeeze. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And just like that, we are on to the shoulder press. All right, so go ahead, grab your weight selection. This is one that you're going to need a chair for. So grab, if you have your bench, just slide your bench over or grab a chair, and I'll meet you right back here. And just like that, we're back for the shoulder press. All right, so hopefully you selected a couple weights that you can control safely and effectively. I want you thinking about your seated position, okay? We really want to brace that core. And so when I talk about bracing the core, I want you to think about giving a big exhale. When you feel that full exhale, no doming, just that full exhale, like you breathe out everything real kind of fast and aggressively, that core tightens up. That is the feeling of a braced core, okay? So think about that when you go into this. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab those weights and we are going to have the bells by our ears, okay? So we are going to have those arms, we're not going to have them straight out to either side. That just puts a lot of tweakiness in that shoulder. You want to have those elbows pointed forward slightly, like at about a 45-degree angle, okay? So from here, we got the bells by our ears, and then we're going to press up so our biceps are by our ears, okay? And then we lower down. We have 12 reps of this. So I hope you chose a weight that you can control throughout this move safely, effectively. If you need to make an adjustment, go for it. But let's dive in for 12 reps, all right? So we're going to press up. There's one. Now think about with this one. A lot of times I'll see scrunching happen, right? We don't want the scrunching, that little extra lift that I did on that last move. We want to keep our neck nice and long. There's 4 and 5, so that we are keeping the work in our shoulders. There's 7, woo, spice alert, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. That was a good one. So you want to think about, if you notice those upper traps, these muscles right here, if they start trying to talk to you, I really want you to lower the weight, okay? Let's keep that form because that is most important. And we want to make sure that we're keeping the work in our shoulders, not putting the work into those upper traps. Notice the difference? Shoulders, traps, okay? So let's take a deep breath. Be in the moment. Assess how round 1 went. We have 2 more rounds of 12. So roll it out, shake it out. Let's dive on in. All right, here we go. We got those bells by our ears. We are going to press up. 1, 2. Remember, keep those elbows slightly pointed forward. 3. Get that full range of motion. 4, 5, 6. Keeping those traps out of the equation. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. Those, you might have noticed that core stiffening up a little bit more at the end. A lot of times if you start to notice your form go, think about activating that core, okay? By really putting some of the work into other areas. That core, we want it to keep us strong and stable, right? But we're taking the standing aspect out of it by being in this seated position. And that is super important, right? It is pretty challenging though, because a lot of times if we're standing, then what we'll do is we'll kind of bend into our knees to press us up again. And so this takes that motion out of it. But if you're in this and you're going into that 3rd round, you're like, Jen, I don't know. The weights I selected, remember, your arms have weight too. And the most important thing always, always, always is form. Okay, so if your form is being compromised, I want you to think about dropping those weights or, going to no weight at all and using your arms as you get used to this. Okay. If you're noticing you're starting to scrunch, drop those weights and let's dive in. Okay. Last round, best round. All right. So we've got those elbows pointed forward, bells by the ears, last 12 reps. So we're going to press up and control that lower. You know, a lot of times we come up and then we want to sink down. We want to make sure we're controlling that lower just as well. Okay. There's 6, 7, 8. You got this. 9. You are rocking it out. 11, last rep. 12. Nice. How did that feel? Right? Sometimes we just have to work ourselves through it. Talk to yourself. Give yourself, okay, come on. Give yourself those little pep talks as you're going, because those mean so much. And just like that, I hate to tell you my next move, but it is push-ups. So I will meet you back here. Go ahead, set your weights away. You will not need them for this move. So I will meet you back here for our push-ups. We are coming down to the ground. Now, if push-ups are not something that you're super, they're challenging, right? If there's something that's super challenging for you, I'm going to show a couple modifications. One is if you have a loop, I prefer the fabric ones, then you can put it around your triceps, okay? But around the top of your arm. And then as you get into this move, you can be in that knee position or in that toe position. But what you can do is lower into it, and then that band, it kind of is like a pull-up assist, except for in this case, it's a push-up assist. It spring loads at the bottom, so you can you have an easier time pressing up at the top. So if you don't have a fabric loop, check them out. I can send you the link. So just message me or let me know that you want the link for that. They're super inexpensive on Amazon. So you can do that. You can also go to your knees and be in that lower knee position. I like to keep the toes on the floor. And I want you to think about a couple things as we get into this. And this will be true for the toe stance as well. So if you're in that toe stance and dropping to the knees, I just want those knees to lower, but everything else stay right where it is, okay? A lot of times we want to kind of round forward as we go push-ups. I want you to think about cranking the pits of those elbows forward so that as you lower, it's in your back instead of just in that upper shoulder position. Because a lot of times people have issues with it because they don't have that form tweak, right? That pits of the elbows forward is beautiful for that. So, right? So we have 11. All right. You're probably like, why 11? Because the goal is to get to be able to do 11 straight from the toes push-ups, because that is like the sign of building that strength. We all want to do 11 from our toes, and we all can. We might not be there yet, right? So let's dive in. We want those fingers spread apart. We want those pits of the elbows cranked forward. When we come down, you want to have those elbows coming down at a 45 rather than straight out. And let's go. Here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you need to adjust as you're going, like I did, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. All right. So how did those feel? You might be like, oh, Jen, I felt them everywhere, right? Push-ups are like that. They're one of those things. They're like our nemesis for so many things, but it's honestly one of the best moves, because if you are out and you are walking, you stumble and fall, you want to be able to easily push yourself back up, right? Carry on, look around to make sure nobody saw. So you want to make sure that you're able to get back up, that you're able to just push yourself up and continue about your business, right? So take that deep breath. Be like, okay, 2 more rounds of 11. And then we're going to dive in. Now, sometimes I like to change up the push-up move, and I like to move between the elbows out to the more military or tricep push-up. So if you want to switch around, you can. I'll show you the tricep push-up this time around. So if you want to add some change to it, you can, right? So from there, what we're going to do is have our, shoulder, elbow, wrist in alignment. Once again, crank the pits of those elbows forward. For this, you're going to raise those elbows against your sides as you go down and press back up. All right, so here we go. We got 11 and there's 1. You'll notice these are a lot closer and a lot of times more challenging. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Those are tough. Those are tough. But you know what? We're tough, right? We're showing up. We're doing our best. We're focusing on progress. And regardless of what your push-ups are like, whether you have the band, whether you're from your knees, from your toes, these are such a great way to not only build strength, but also build that confidence and that belief in yourself. That belief that, you know what? I got this. I can do hard things. It might not be easy. And you can see from how I'm acting, I'm like, oh man, my arms are sore. They're tired. But we just keep going, right? So life doesn't stop lifing. So we got to keep on keeping on so that we can keep up with all the shenanigans that we know that are coming our way. So we have 1 more round, 11 reps. You get to choose your own adventure. So this one you might see me drop into my knees and that's okay. Remember, we are all on our own little adventure. And so just do your best and focus on progress. All right, here we go. We have 11. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Oh, how did you do? I give everything I had to get that in. And you know what? We always just do our best and focus on progress. So wherever you got, maybe you didn't get the full 11. That's okay. Be proud of yourself because you still showed up and you did your best. And next time that you show up, you're going to feel a little bit stronger in the move. So just know you got this. And just like that, we're on to our last move, which is a back fly. So we're going to be in that hinged position again. So grab lighter weights. This one is going to be one that if you are new to this, you might want to grab no weights at all. I'm probably going to grab 5s or 10s. We'll see. And I'll meet you back here in just... All right, last move of the day. We are here for the back fly. Now we're going to do 12 rounds of this move, okay? So hopefully you grab some lighter weights. I grabbed 8s. I decided I was going to kind of go middle of the road between the 5 and the 10 and grab the 8s. So what we're going to do, let's talk about our stance here, right? You want those feet about hip width apart. You want to have that nice little hip hinge as we come down. I'm going to have you keeping your palms towards your thighs for this round, all right? So we're going to rotate those shoulder blades down and back. I want you to think about that flat back from the back of your head to the tip of your tailbone. And what we're going to do, we're going to keep a little micro bend in those elbows, but then we are going to open wide and control that lower, okay? So we're not opening back, we're opening wide, all right? So here we go, we have 12. So sometimes, depending on if you spend a lot of time sitting, you might have a hard time feeling this move. So there's 4, 5, and you're probably like, why is that, Jen? 6, because our back muscles get deconditioned. 7, 8, which means they kind of go to sleep. 9, and we are waking them up. 10, 11, and 12. All right. So if you're like, Jen, I don't feel it, that is not uncommon, right? It's one of those moves that, as we spend a lot of time in chairs, those back muscles they get kind of lazy and they decide, oh, we're not showing up for work today. That's why we sometimes get that rounding, right? So this is going to really work on targeting that by improving posture and helping you build that stronger back, okay? So even if you can't feel it, keep showing up. I have a client that I had to work with for several months before she really started to feel it and was able to create more of that mind muscle activation because she genuinely wasn't feeling it. So just know, be patient with yourself, but know also that it will come. All right, let's dive in for round number 2 or set number 2. Here we go. We've got those arms with a slight micro bend and driving out with those pinkies up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, control that lower. 8. There's a lot of work in that eccentric. 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right. We have one round left. How excited are you? I am very excited. So what we're going to do, I want you to really think about this round. Go ahead if you need to adjust weights, do that, but also think about, okay, where am I feeling this move? I want you to really start creating that brain connection and start really working to target those mid-back muscles, okay? Because that's a lot of what we're working here. We want to do our part to wake up those muscles, you know, and every time you show up, you're doing exactly that. So let's dive in. We have our last round. Last round, best round. All right, give me that good hinge. And here we go. We're coming up for 1, 2, remember, control that lower. 3, keep that core brace. 4, keep those feet and knees in alignment. 5, so many things, right? 6, squeezing at the top. 7, but not letting those upper traps get to work. 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And just like that, we are done. So I want you to give yourself a high five if you still have arms that'll move. Otherwise, give yourself a low five. But high fives for you for showing up today. Let's give a nice little shoulder stretch on either side. Be proud of yourself, right? Be proud of yourself for showing up. Be proud of yourself for every rep you did. We're not focused on the reps you didn't get to. We're focused on the reps that you did, right? Because that is what's important. We're going to just kind of roll those shoulders down and back. And I want you to celebrate. Celebrate yourself today. Maybe celebrate by going out and doing something fun. And maybe that's just getting out in nature and going for a walk. You know, something that's going to continue to boost that healthy lifestyle, that, you know, determination. Because once you start feeling the results, that's where the magic happens, right? When you start to feel the result, then you start striding to get that feeling more often. And that's where the real magic happens. So just keep showing up, focus on progress, and know you got this. And I'll